Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bachelorette Recap here at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we were in Thailand. There was I love yous, there was goodbyes, there were fantasy suite dates, and it was still so boring. We're here to recap it all with you right after this.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Okay, for this new intro.
I like it. I've never heard that before.
Me either. Oh my god.
I had to address it because, you know.
I don't know how to dance to this Thai music. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it.
They feel them a little more like slow with their
movements. No, but I don't think that's right either.
Hold on, let's
we're gonna have to look up some Thai dancing.
Look, it's up there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you were way more on. Oh, my
All right.
dancing a little bit.
You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're so excited. Honestly, we watched this episode together, and I'm not gonna lie, I was excited for it after that whole Tia drama last week, but it was kind of a snooze fest. Anyways, we'll get into it. Even if you thought the episode was boring, I'm sure you'll think we're super fun.
I agree.
That's the plan. You guys, I'm Kristina Zias. Thanks for tuning in, and with me I have Christine.
Hey guys.
Renee.
Hey.
And Jeff in the booth.
Yo, excited for the show, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so initial thoughts on fantasy suite dates, Christine.
Ooh, very boring, very predictable. Yeah, this whole episode just fell flat for me.
Fell flat. Renee?
I could have missed this episode and been fine.
Right. I agree.
Those are my thoughts.
And Jeff?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this is sometimes a point in the show where, no offense to Becca, but if you don't have a super engaging lead, I think, this was kind of par for the course. We had a lot of feelings, a lot of slow looks and pensive balcony shots, and I just don't know if we learned that much in this episode.
I don't necessarily agree with that because I think we learned a lot about the other guys, and I think there was definitely some pivotal moments in each relationship. But for some reason, I still found it to be so boring.
This is
So
maybe an
boring.
example of when the show doesn't need to be 2 hours. I
For
think.
sure. Totally.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
An hour would have sufficed. Honestly, maybe an hour and 15, but that doesn't work like that. So just an hour.
I think I was overall disappointed too. One, because Jason went home.
Yeah.
And obviously I love him. Two, because I kept waiting for Arie to come on this episode.
Me too.
And I was like, oh, he's going to come on. It's about to get crazy. And then he never showed up.
So
Yeah.
do you think we're being duped by ABC? Does he ever show up?
No, like Becca herself has said Arie comes on, right? Or am I making this up? I thought in an interview she alluded to it, or when was asked about it, she's like, you'll see, something like that. Because I feel like the time for Arie to come back, though, would be the finale. Because when you think about when he broke her heart, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So I feel like it'll be not on after the final rose, but maybe for the episode, I guess. I don't know. When is Arie coming back?
Okay, so this is really funny because I'm looking at the chat roll. And by the way, thank you to everyone who's in
What
there right now.
up?
You guys are awesome. Your commentary is always so on point. And it's funny because I just said there was no Arie in this episode. But then Misha C said, I hope no one did a drinking game tonight listening for Arie's name because they are in the emergency room right now with alcohol poisoning. And it's so true because she brought up his name so many times.
Well, yeah, that's my question. Do you guys want Arie to show up this season?
Yes.
Yeah, at this point, I
Give
do.
me something,
Fair enough.
please.
I only want him to show up just because we've been anticipating it for so long.
I know. Earlier on, we kind of gave the show a hard time for constantly harping on that and him. And we're like, we need to move on. We want to get to know Becca. Let it be her season.
We got to know Becca.
We got to know Becca,
Not
and
Arie.
I'm not impressed. And I kind of want.
Oh my God.
Sorry, a little shade there. But I want him to come back and spice it up.
I just feel like this season has gotten so predictable over the last couple of episodes. The Tia thing, great, annoying, but we love to hate people on the show, let's be honest. But I just want someone I love to hate back because there's no one left that I love to hate. And if Arie could come back and if Becca could be like, get out, and he actually got out for real that time, the first time she asked, America could be like,
Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't envisioning Arie coming back happening like that. I'm pretty sure he's like, hey, I just want to talk to you. I don't think she's going to kick him out and it'd be this vicious goodbye for him.
I know it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen
I don't
like
think
that.
it'll play out like that
Sorry,
either.
Renee.
All I want.
Sorry, Renee. All
But
right.
for real though, okay, sorry.
No, go on. You can do.
If
want
he
him to come
came
back?
on, what would you pick? I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm so over
I almost
Arie.
think it'll be advice.
I
like
just don't.
Becca being like, I understand, like this is so difficult, and him being like, you just, I don't know, what could he say? Just go with your gut, because he's gonna be like, oh, and then change your mind later.
He would
like,
say, yeah.
yeah.
You can always go back.
You can
know?
always change your mind
Wake up with
later.
them on national TV, like, you know, you can do what I did.
I just hope what I would hope from that interaction is that it gives Becca the clarity she needs, since she's so desperately confused right now. Maybe seeing someone like Arie will spark like a visceral reaction, like, oh, this is what I don't want. Maybe now I know what I really do want. I don't know. Could be an epiphany moment for her.
I don't know, it's tough because I feel like we forget that there were so many moments that happened with Arie that we didn't see, that there has to be an emotional reaction for when she sees her ex, regardless of how much he hurt her. It was still someone who she did spend, given what, like a few weekends with, but like whatever. It was an intense journey. And I feel like that could bring back some old emotions and make it harder for her at the same time, but I'm here for it.
I want to know what the chat thinks. Do they think that would be beneficial? I mean,
the chat pretty much thinks that Arie has nothing to offer her, no advice, and they're pretty much making fun of Lauren. And they're also saying if I was Lauren, though, I wouldn't let Arie go back for anything. Valid point.
True.
And then someone said, but Lauren probably wouldn't even notice because she doesn't pay attention to what goes on in this world. She never even watched the last episode on her season. Anyways, okay, enough Arie talk.
Yikes.
We'll address Arie if and when we see him this season. But let's get into the first dates in Thailand. First is Blake. So Blake and Becca meet up. They have like the best jumping moment ever, and they're going hiking, and they have their hike trail that begins and ends at a sacred temple with monks. Initially, obviously, there's so much chemistry between them, and Becca says, just so you know, we can't, not only can't we not kiss, but we can't touch.
gotta turn it off real quick.
Dream date.
Dream date, I know. Like, Blake was super excited. It was funny watching them with the monks because Becca seemed super into it, and Blake kept opening his eyes. He's probably like, I just feel bad for him. He's so stressed that I'm so stressed watching him.
I know.
It's not enjoyable for me to watch
us
them.
anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm like waiting for him to like do or say something that will just make him like snap. I don't know. He just seems so uneasy about the process throughout this episode. I think that was the main thing we realized, that Blake has never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette before.
Clearly not.
He's just so concerned that other people could be having equally as strong feelings for Becca as he does. Or actually, no, he says that he has stronger feelings than everyone else. He's worried that she could be feeling as strong for him as she does for everyone else. But like, duh. Like,
yeah, seriously. Can we also just point out that the date she had with Blake would have been perfect for her and Jason, because they barely even touched on their date.
Oh, good point.
Just saying. Yeah, Blake really stresses me out, and he needs to get with the program, like, of what show he's on. When he was talking about, just going on about, like, there's other guys here, she could have feelings for them. I'm like, you're on The Bachelorette.
But I do think his reaction is valid, like whether he's on The Bachelorette or not. Like, I don't expect that you can anticipate those feelings that you're going to end up having, and like that jealousy that ensues and that confusion, and just like you have no idea what's going on. Like, you think you're in this incredible relationship. So even if you've watched 20 seasons of The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, whatever, like, I still don't think you can prepare yourself for that moment, like being in love with someone and then potentially being in love with other people.
That's fair. But I will say, I think the reason why he stands out so much is because compared to all the other guys, he is the most anxious, the most stressed. Like, Garrett doesn't bring up anything about the other guys at all. And that way, in the moment, we're just focused on him. And honestly, during his dates, I'm always really calm. And not just because it was raining this episode. He's very calming, whereas Blake is like, you know, I think we're doing amazing, and there's other guys here, and I don't know how she feels about the other, like that. He just talks in like circles and quickly, and
it's funny because like we get that feeling from watching him, but I don't feel like Becca feels like that. I feel like she's totally like into it when they're talking.
Oh,
which
for
makes
sure.
me like, I'm like, damn, is that what you really want? Like, seeing the differences between Blake and Garrett at this point, it's like I'm really trying to figure out like how they both got here, but.
I mean, I think we're seeing the most stressed out version of Blake, though, in
sure.
his confessionals and talking heads.
That's
so
true.
I'm sure the producers are working. To me, it's the only conflict-oriented thing that's happening right now.
Okay.
So I think the producers are leaning into that because at least it's something, right? It's a talking point.
Yeah.
So I feel like the producers are pushing the anxiety narrative, so Becca's not seeing it because they're exclusive to Talking Heads.
But not only that, like when they had their little dinner date, actually, did they even have dinner? They were like just sitting down talking to each other. Blake said something along the lines of like, I just keep waiting for something to go wrong. Like, that's kind of heavy. That's not like, I'm so happy to be here with you. Like, I know like everything is going so great between us. He like kind of got negative to the point where she's like, oh my gosh, don't say that. Like, knock on wood. I'm superstitious.
Yeah.
At one point, she was like, really? When he said, I think that was when he said that he is more in love with her than he was with his ex, or like that he never felt like this before. And I was like, damn, that's heavy.
And then also he said again, he talked about his ex and about, I guess like where he lived was very remote in Colorado and how his mom drove down 4 days a week to be with him because he was so heartbroken. So did you guys catch that?
I did not.
I was like,
so
damn,
my eyes
like
are open right now.
if he is not the one she chooses, like this is not going to be well.
Here's a quick
days a
question.
week?
As women, how would you feel knowing that you're dating someone who got over their ex through their mom?
I don't necessarily think that would bother me
great
so
question.
much.
Not through your mom though. Let's change it to the very specific. Through your mom coming 4 days a week to take care of you.
I don't think the mom thing, because I'm like, I think I can respect like a mother-son relationship. I'm like, okay, he's like so close with his family, like that's really sweet. I think if anything, I'd be like, okay, like you are too heavy, you are too much for me, because I'd be so scared like of saying anything wrong where you'd be so devastated. Like I think it almost like, I feel like you'd be in this constant stress of like not wanting to disappoint the other person. And for Becca, knowing that there's someone else there too, I feel like it probably weighs like really heavily on her. Like I hope she doesn't feel pressured to pick Blake because he'd be so devastated if she didn't. Do you know what I mean? What do you guys think? I think that's a really good question, Jeff.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Him coping and his mom helping him.
I get what you're saying. I think if it were someone else and I heard that, I would be like, okay, like I understand that. I feel them. That's sweet. Like I would think it was sweet, but because, and I agree with you with the heaviness of Blake and just how intense and anxious he is and stressed he is, and he's only becoming, I think, a heightened version of himself throughout the show. It kind of reminds me of, do you remember Annalise from Arie's season, how she started off really calm, cool, and collected, and throughout like the 3 weeks she was there, she kind of lost it.
Yeah.
Blake has just had a slower downward spiral throughout the season, and it makes me wonder if this is really like the, getting to the worst point of his anxiety, or if we haven't even like scratched the surface, considering what he had gone through his past breakup. And then it makes me wonder about the finale. If he does get sent home, what is that reaction going to look like?
It's hard because I don't know what he eventually learned from his last relationship that his mother helped him work through. My only concern with that is because I know how boys are with their moms, and that close relationship is there. But from seeing my mom firsthand baby my brother so hard, and he's 21 years old, I'm wondering if, moms tend to reinforce certain things and may not necessarily call out stuff that your friends might see, like, hey, you're a little codependent, or maybe you're in your feelings a little too much. Maybe you did
Yeah, I think
because your
really
mom is
valid.
always gonna like validate you, and she's gonna be like, you're amazing, you don't need to change for anybody, when he
Right.
very well could need to change his approach.
Definitely.
So that's my only thing that I
feel
could see concern with there. But at the end of the day, it's someone's mom. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
crap on you for leaning into your mom during a difficult time. That's just would be my only concern. It's like, that's cool and everything. I just want to know that you're like learning from all these repeated traumatic experiences that you keep having, because the common thread is you. So it's always a moment for self-reflection.
Absolutely. And going off of that, in that moment, he didn't just bring up his ex. He said how, he feels for her more than the ex, but that he doesn't know how he would handle like this breakup versus that
Right.
one, which is so concerning considering how much he's talked about how he did deal with his breakup with his ex and how bad that was. I don't know. It like makes me stressed and nervous for him talking about him at all.
I wonder if that puts negative pressure on Becca, or if that makes her
Yeah.
feel like, oh, but I love him so much. Look how much he loves me.
Yeah, I think it can go either way. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Blake?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on the type of girl. I will say, just a little insight into me, I can sometimes I feel like if I were to identify with either Garrett or Blake, I'm more Blake. First of all, because I would never like the stuff on Instagram that Garrett liked, but I won't
Okay,
talk
but
about
besides
that.
the Instagram
I know, I'm
stuff.
sorry. I'm kind of a sensitive guy, so I relate to how Blake's feeling,
so that's
and
why,
like
yeah.
Laura loves that. Like, she likes that about me. She likes that I'm a words guy. She likes that she can track how I'm feeling with stuff. Some women love this. I don't think Becca's one of them. I think Garrett's more her type. I think there's plenty of women that would love a Blake because you know where you stand.
But see, there's a difference because Blake is very emotional, but so is Jason. And the way they handled themselves is completely different.
Totally
and
different.
obviously, like, I mean, there wasn't like a breakup or anything with Jason. I mean, with Blake, right? And the chat roll is like very divided on this too, because they were saying that NR said, Blake's giving me so much anxiety. The episode is over and I still feel stressed. Amisha said, I think Blake's date was heavily edited. I understand why you're all saying that, but if a person truly has feelings for that person, then they should have these concerns. So I feel like both of them are valid, and I think we kind of just have to see how their relationship.
Different strokes for different folks. I don't know. Like Jeff said, like for some women that may translate really well, and for others is being lost on us. You know.
I think the way I see it is I see Becca with Garrett, and I'm like, wow, like their relationship, there's like confidence within
That's
each other.
the thing.
In both of them. And they both seem so happy and calm, and they're like on this river ride with like a million different Thai people. They're watching their like one-on-one date and elephants and like people splashing them. And it still seems like very chill, right? Just like watching them, there's just such a different feeling than watching Becca and Blake.
One last quick thing I'll say in defense
Yeah.
of Blake is
Yeah.
that I don't know if Becca's given him a ton of reassurance.
I was thinking that too.
Like, I can't necessarily blame Blake because Becca shouldn't. I know she's doing this on purpose, but she's withholding a lot compared to how other contestants usually handle themselves at this stage.
It's funny though, because on camera to us, to the audience, she's given us the most assurance for Blake. Early on, she started saying like, I think I'm in love with Blake, like a few episodes ago. And she hasn't really said that about anyone else. And even in tonight's episode, she said that like she's in love with him.
Yeah,
She
she's
hasn't
more
said it
like-
to
good point.
him,
To
though.
him, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
yeah.
His perception is different than ours, which we have
For
to remember.
sure.
So
Yeah.
And that must drive you insane.
Especially at
can't-
this point in the journey?
At this point, yeah. So I understand, like, we are probably being a little tough on Blake, because I can imagine if I was in his position, I'd be going nuts.
Same, but I really, really respect the fact that Becca is not saying I love you to the last two contestants, because honestly, it's been an ongoing trend in the past few seasons ever since like Ben Higgins did it. But I personally would rather get hurt at the very end of it without being like, and he said he was in love with me, and like going back,
Right.
like at least you're like, you know what, I wasn't sure, I was on edge, because you don't want to get so confident that you think you're gonna win and then you're sent home. That's probably way worse than being anxious kind of throughout the whole thing and not knowing, because when you're sure under false hope that you're gonna win and be with this person because they love you, and Becca's not gonna say she said it to the other contestant. You don't know. That's what all these other past contestants were confused by. It's better to, I think, be anxious and unsure than think you're sure and be blindsided.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I feel like you kind of have to like just be so confident in your relationship for it to work.
I'm glad you brought that up, though.
Yeah.
Like, there is definitely a level of confidence with Garrett and Becca's relationship versus with Becca and Blake. And that's why I keep saying, I wonder if she's feeling it and if she's scared that she's going to have to reassure him for the rest of their relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because he keeps saying how confident he is and how he feels about her. But I'm wondering if it's like a defense mechanism. Like, maybe I'm not really confident, but if I say it enough, I'll feel like it.
I love that he like low key like said, well, I just know the other guys don't love you the way I do. I was like,
I
okay,
know.
Blake throwing shade. He's like, I just want to throw this out there.
There's another past contestant who said something like that when he was sent home, and I can't remember who. Peter. Remember Peter's like, don't settle, but to Rachel, he was something like, don't settle, like for freaking Brian. Do you remember that?
Did he say don't
I don't
settle?
remember.
It was
that.
something like that because Rachel called him out for it on AFR. Do you guys really not remember that? I can't remember.
no.
Okay, chat
Yeah,
roll. Let us
wait.
know. There was a quote. Peter said something like that, but this is when he was like going, well, he didn't want to go home. He just didn't want to propose to her. And they had this back and forth, and he said something very similar-ish, because it was only one guy, of like, it's pretty much implying she'd be settling if she went through with anyone but him. I can't remember what it was or if he used the word settle, though.
It was. I remember it being something along those lines. I just don't remember if he said that word specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, shade.
Okay, so should we let's get into Garrett, and then we'll talk about the whole Jason thing. How does that work for you guys?
That's cool.
Okay, so Garrett, they have a rafting date that it just so happened to be a Thai national holiday, so they didn't have like their own one-on-one time. And it was just funny to see because there were so many people in that river. It was crazy. I don't know how like the producers didn't know this was gonna happen.
They absolutely knew. They planned dates where they walk into a random arena and someone's already performing. I think that's
I don't know. I'm with you,
This is
Kristina.
planned.
I got the impression that production was scrambling to figure out how to handle this, and I was saying someone got fired.
I don't know.
I
They
agree.
got all the angles though.
Yeah, I think they
Like-
made it work. I honestly, I agree. I don't think that they knew. I think because especially towards like these very last few dates, they just try to make them one-on-one, just them alone. Like this date was supposed to be just them and nobody
Right, like
else.
I think it was supposed to be like a really romantic, like river rafting experience for the two of
Yeah.
them. I think the elephant was planned, like maybe elephants were
Yeah.
supposed to be there, but not all those people.
There were a lot of people.
There was
know, I
there's
disagree.
so many of them.
Because even the way they handled it, they were like, we expected it to be a one-on-one, but this
Yeah.
ended up working out fine. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
totally.
that's how it's produced.
But I don't really have like any major thoughts except for the fact that they seem like they kind of fit together. And when I forgot that Garrett didn't say I love you before tonight.
Yeah.
So that was a huge moment, obviously. And it's funny because we've all along we've thought like she really feels it with Garrett. And finally tonight he really validated that. Why do you think it took him so long, Christine?
He just seems like a slow and easy kind of guy. I think he was just going at his own pace. I think another big moment for me with their conversation was the fact that he said that he would relocate and meet her somewhere in the middle.
That was a huge moment.
That was huge. Her whole 50-50 talk that she's been preaching this entire season, I think he embodied that with saying that, and that solidified
And she
their
even
bond.
said that, like with Arie, she felt like it was like, how am I going to fit into his life? It was all about
Right.
like me fitting into his life. And I guess she really does see that partnership with Garrett, which was really nice to hear him say too.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was edited, but it did come right after she said that. Like,
Yeah, I think it was
right in
probably
conversation.
part of the conversation. It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what really makes me feel like he is the front runner, not just because of obviously them talking about going 50-50, but you know damn well, Bachelor Nation, that if he was like going to go home a while ago, the producers would have been so on him about not saying I love you to her yet that he would have been anxious about it in interviews. Like they would have gotten to him the way that they get to other contestants when they feel like they're taking too long to say I love you. They haven't played that up with him at all. We haven't even heard Becca really, like she talks about it, but not in the way where it's worrying to her. She's just like, oh, like I want him to say he loves me because he said he's falling for her. But with Jason, like there was issues of him not communicating at all. Whereas I think if Garrett hadn't, it would be a different story because I think Garrett has always been this very calming, secure relationship throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I think she gives him a lot of leeway with how soon or not soon he's sharing his feelings, where the anxiousness was there with Jason because I think other things are missing. I think she just feels so solid in Garrett that she didn't need the words just yet.
Yeah.
Because she got them now, and she said last night their relationship took leaps. Like,
Right.
she was okay with the timeline that they were on, but I think that's just because she loves him so damn much.
What do you think,
I
Jeff?
totally agree with what you guys are saying. To me, in terms of leeway, I like that word, Christine, because I feel like the amount of leeway she's given with not pushing him at all about his divorce.
Exactly.
That's
all.
with any other contestant, she'd be like, "Why didn't it work?
Yeah.
Well, how did you
Yeah.
contribute to it?" Like, but she's just like, "Okay," and I don't know. I totally agree with you guys.
Do you think we're just not seeing that?
I just think they'd show us.
Oh,
Because
that's a good point.
I just
because-
can't imagine Becca like not asking. I feel like she's like pretty tough. Like I think she would be like, "Well, I want to know more about this. Like that's such a big deal." Like I think she's already been engaged once. Like I think she really wants this to work. I don't think she wouldn't be asking those questions.
Especially after hometowns.
Yeah.
The only thing about that is I will say, Becca in different relationships is different. Think about Colton and how many times he got away with barely answering a question. And then Garrett, I think they would show us, despite if he was winning or not, because I think it adds more drama for the finale where we question who's going to win. Like if she's unsure about his divorce, and with Blake, she's unsure about his anxiety. I don't know.
I feel like
You
they
know?
talk about his divorce a lot, and I feel like
But not in
maybe
a way-
she just doesn't care, or maybe like he's explained it to her his way,
Yeah.
and she just looked over it because, like you said, she's just so smitten by him.
I think it's that, and maybe she's worried of coming off as a hypocrite because she just got engaged to somebody too.
Very
Maybe.
true.
So I think she's just trying to respect maybe where he was at, and because he's respecting the fact that she just came off the heels of an engagement too, and is now, supposedly really truly in love with this guy. So
Yeah.
I've got a hot take here too.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
let's
tell
hear
us.
What if there were different versions of Garrett's edit and they really had to backpedal? And like any flaws that Garrett could show us were in original edits of these episodes.
Before the Instagrams?
Yeah, like maybe there was an
Ooh.
episode where we got into Garrett's contribution to the divorce, but the producers don't want us to see that because there's enough burdening his journey already.
That's a really good point. That's very possible, I think, when it comes down to, once at the end of the day, Bachelor Nation and all the producers want us to root for whatever couple wins. Like, they want us to root for them. So I could see that happening.
I don't know, because I feel like, on the contrary, I feel like Bachelor Nation has been, like, pretty crappy to the past Bachelorettes. I feel like they definitely did not want us to like Brian for Rachel. And I feel like even for JoJo's season, like...
Well, not really, because...
You don't think so?
No, because think about that. We didn't like Brian because we thought he was coming off disingenuous. But if you actually think about what Brian did wrong throughout the season, they didn't give him a bad edit at all. It was just him being sweet and us not believing it.
Right, but if you listen to interviews with like Rachel and Brian, she's always saying like how she hates the edit that Brian got because all they ever did was show him kissing her. They never showed any of their conversations.
I see what you're saying.
And I feel like, I mean, I liked Brian, so I was happy she chose him, but I feel like they definitely like painted Peter as like the one that she should be with, or like the one that she really wanted. True. And I feel like they also did that with JoJo. I feel like
JoJo, but between who? Because like maybe Luke, because no one thought what's his face was gonna win.
Fine.
Robbie it was a joke. It came down to Robbie and Jordan. We all know
at the end, but Jordan, like in the earlier part of the season,
wasn't liked.
He wasn't liked.
Yeah, he was. That's very true. I think maybe more so with the Bachelorettes then. So
I think more so with the Bachelorettes.
So maybe they're trying to switch it up and get back to the romance, especially coming after the garbage fire that was Arie's season, like that whole ending. Maybe they're trying to come back with a love story, so they really are painting him in a sweet light. Because if we think about it, there hasn't been that much drama the last few, it's just with Colton, really. Yeah. So they're clearly not trying to go for that really dramatic angle right now with all this conflict between contestants.
But Jeff, to your point, I do think that if there was a more controversial angle with Garrett, like they probably did try and edit it and make him look good, especially because of everything that happened. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw a couple weeks ago, but they literally retouched all of Becca's butt.
Oh yeah, we talked about
They have the time to do that. They have the time to edit these conversations
for
down.
Sure. I didn't even know you could do that through video.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you can do anything with editing.
How does the chat feel about that?
About
editing the butt?
Or Garrett?
About Garrett.
A lot of them are saying like, why haven't we seen more of Becca, of this conversation with his divorce? Other people are saying it probably happened in the fantasy suite. We just aren't seeing it.
Very true.
Also, people are saying, please Google pics of Garrett's ex-wife. Looks exactly like Becca, huge red flag.
I did see the wedding video. We were tweeted the wedding video or whatever.
Yes, thank you to everyone who tweets us.
Thank you. It was really hard for me to watch. Like, I felt like I was watching, like, my current boyfriend and his, like, ex-girlfriend together. Like, because, we're so, like, invested in these relationships now. I felt, like, uncomfortable that we were seeing this, even though it's someone, like, we've never met. Totally. I felt so uncomfortable watching it, but I'm like, Garrett, he was happy with someone else? It was weird.
It's so funny. When I saw it, too, it made me like him more because I was like, oh, this is so sweet.
Yeah.
Jada in the chat roll said, I like how she said Garrett told her all the ways he loved her. I wish we saw more of that. And I think that's right. We didn't see enough of that.
I mean, she said he could be a great father, a loving husband, and someone who's really reliable. I mean, check.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, don't we really want someone we can fully depend on? I mean, that would be, like, I think that's so important.
That is very important.
And she hasn't really said, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she's described any of the other guys like this, to this level. Like, I think she talks about her feelings for Blake and how they have a really strong relationship, but, like, when she talks about actual characteristics in a partner, it seems like Garrett has always really been, like, the top dog.
What's interesting, too, is the one thing that Becca and Garrett share is I don't really know either of them.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
That's why when you first asked me that question, like, why it took him so long to get there, I almost was like, I don't know. I don't really know what is about him. Like, and what his deal is.
I will say this is the first time in a while where I've watched the show and thought, wow, like these guys really love the lead. I think that in past seasons, I'm like, I don't know. Like they might just be in like this like little Bachelor fantasy land. But I truly believe all of these three final guys like love Becca and could see a future with her.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And it's very true. I think when it comes down to like top threes in past seasons with The Bachelorette, you're like, that guy, not that into her. Like, this guy's pretty fake. And then you kind of have an idea of who the winner's going to be just because it's so obvious. This time, I think it's only obvious because we see her feelings with him, and not that obvious. It's still split. I just fully believe she's gonna pick Garrett, and I can't let it go. And every time I see them together, but it's still like these three guys are all guys she really could have a future with.
Were you guys
down
surprised?
with two.
Yeah. Were you guys surprised with her date with Jason? Because for me, I was like a little disappointed in Becca. I was like, first of all, the way she just left him and started talking to a producer I didn't want to see that. It made me feel like I was watching the show Unreal at that point. I'm like, wow, like all of a sudden we were in Thailand on this romantic date and now she's there talking to a producer like who's coaching her to like move forward with this date. Like, I don't want to see that. Are you falling in love with these guys or not? Because you know,
you felt like it took away from the
magic.
the magic.
I do.
That's the thing.
I do.
As soon as we saw the producer, I'm like, this is exactly what happened. Becca, before she even went on the date, was like, I already know I'm sending home Jason. I feel stronger about these other two guys. And like, no, you just do it. You're going to be great. And she's having fun, but she's in her head because she knows she's going to send Jason home. And she's like, I can't possibly say no to him like when we're at dinner with this key. So then she goes off to talk to a producer. The producer says, no, give it a chance. You owe it to you in a relationship. So Becca to camera goes, I owe it to my relationship with Jason. And then at the dinner, ends everything because she didn't even want to go on that date to begin with. Not saying he's not the sweetest guy, but she wasn't feeling it.
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of bothered me that she had this whole date planned with Blake. They went on the hike and then to the temple. With Garrett, she had the river rafting. And with Jason, she was like, I just like to walk around sometimes and explore. I'm like, okay, so you didn't have the time to like plan anything for Jason? Did you guys catch that?
I did catch that, and considering how bad their previous dates have been, I felt for him, because if it wasn't in a bar somewhere, it was at a weird what was that, like death gothic date that they had,
unhappy hours.
Unhappy hour. Like they've had some shit. Like I'm sorry, some crappy dates. We can't use that word, NSFW. But I felt for him that he didn't really get that chance. And what bothered me more is that what set her off was something that she said. It's not even like something that he said. She made a comment about the future, and she even said later that I felt like I had to include you, and then I felt like I instantly regretted it after. It's like, then don't say it. Like, you sabotage the date.
I also think, to be okay, in Becca's defense, I don't know how I would act in this situation. If I did have feelings for him at one point or just still did but knew I wasn't picking him, I think I would be so in my head that entire date, especially if I'm getting produced left and right, being told to keep him a little bit longer, Becca, you can't just send him home right now. I think I'd feel so uncomfortable, and I think I would act in a way that if I watched myself on TV, I'd be like, what are you doing? You know?
Jeff, what are your thoughts on the whole?
You know what? I actually
Becca.
thought Becca handled this about as well as you could. I mean, like, it's clear to me that I think Jason is a little more friend zone than the other guys, which isn't bad, but like at a certain point you like who you like, and like it doesn't mean Jason's a bad guy. Jason's a great guy. He just really isn't for Becca. And yeah, I think like honestly it's nicer to let him go now than to spend a night with them. And
yeah, no, totally.
I thought she handled this pretty well. She handled it very Becca-like, but still pretty well.
My only issue with the way she handled it was the fact that she was so confusing in her words to him, and he was just trying to get an explanation. He was like, I just want you to tell me that you don't see it with me. Yes. But she was saying, I could see you being my husband, but I see it with the other guys more. And he's like, well, you've had more time with them. So if we have this time, why can't we just spend some more time together so you get to know me, like without all these cameras, and then make your decision. So I can understand where like his confusion and his frustration was probably coming from, and I thought he handled himself very well.
He did.
I think Becca in that moment though was just afraid of looking like like an asshole, honestly, because she was trying to dress it up with all those nice words and things around it, but like that's like the last thing you want when someone's still ultimately telling you that they don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
Like I think she should have just kept it kind of cut and dry, like how she was with Wills or somebody else.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, we probably would give her crap for it too if she was insensitive. So I know we're judging her a little harshly here, but I will agree with you that the way she was saying it is, I think, what led him to ultimately come back. Because how do you get closure from that?
Totally.
Yeah.
If she had just said, it's just not going to happen with that, like, just more direct.
Be direct, because she, like, I don't think she was that confused. If she was that confused, wouldn't you want to sort that out alone without cameras for a night?
But I do understand at the same time, because even if she is so confused, she's probably like, he's so amazing, like why don't I want to be with him? But I just feel it so much more with the other guy. So no matter what, she probably still knew at the end of the day he was like too far behind. It's like definitely a total like,
okay, see, I love that you said that, like, he's too far behind, because when he came back later she said, I don't want you to question your journey or think that you're behind, but I just didn't think that we could get
But
there.
he was behind. Like,
Exactly.
So, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah,
So I wish she would have just said that.
Yeah,
Like, stop trying to like
totally agree.
backtrack. That's why I kept writing down what she's saying because I'm like, girl, I'm not following. What's going on?
So, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this little scrapbook you made her? Do you think that was very producer driven? Because when did he have the time to make this scrapbook?
You mean which PA made the scrapbook in the last 24
exactly.
hours?
Jack, what are your thoughts? What PA made it?
I mean,
Is it the same PA who writes those date cards?
Exactly.
Signed by
Chris Harrison does not have that handwriting. I know.
Never.
Right?
I mean, to me, this is very clear that the producers need his Bachelor edit. And, I mean, I think Jason's a sweet guy, but I'm not sure he made a scrapbook.
I don't
Yeah.
think he made the scrapbook.
Okay,
I love him, but I just don't buy it.
if we ever get him on this show, we have to
we're
ask
working on, by the way.
Yeah, we have to ask if he made that scrapbook because it really could be either or. It could be that he wanted an excuse to talk to Becca again, and the producers are like, "Here, take this. It'll be sweet. We're gonna get a good clip of it. It's gonna be awesome. You'll get your moment, whatever." Or he legit had this scrapbook made because I think it was it Wills who had one. Something like that before, something he made for her earlier on in the season. Or am I thinking back to Arie's season? Someone else did this, another contestant, like earlier on this season or last season. So it's possible he made it and was just saving it because he didn't think he was going to get booted.
If
I have
Blake
a
would have brought a
theory.
scrapbook, I would have been like, oh, for sure. But Jason,
Right.
he
He'd be like
doesn't
this
seem
big.
like a crafty fella.
Look what I made you.
I have a theory on this scrapbook. I think that his gay brother made it when he went home and was
that's
like,
amazing.
you need to tell her how you feel. Remember, he was telling her, there's only so much time left.
I love
got
this
you.
theory. Wait,
Because
that's
that
so
was really
funny.
well done, and I'm going to give it to his brother.
Okay, so the chat roll is really funny on this. So Misha C said, for me, the cover of the scrapbook should have said Jason for Bachelor. Erica Garza said, LOL, very producer driven. Jada Odom said, I love the scrapbook. It reminded me when Becca made the same thing for Arie. And that's when I was like, oh, right. Like,
why she
that's her
cried.
love language. Like, I forgot that she even did that. So I'm happy you pointed that
Oh,
out.
I so forgot she did that. Oh, man.
They probably the same
What's
producer.
her love language? Gifts? What is
Or
it?
gift giving.
receiving,
Gift
or
receiving?
It's
Right, 'cause
gift giving.
Gift giving, physical
Gift giving,
touch.
act of service, physical touch, words of affirmation.
What's the other one?
Uh,
Quality time?
Quality time.
Quality time.
Yeah.
There we go. Look at us.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, acts of service. Did you guys say acts of service?
Yeah, act of
Okay,
service.
my bad.
You know your primary love languages? Mine are quality time and words of affirmation.
I think mine are the same,
Oh my
but
God.
I had physical touch, I think, being tied with number 2.
So you'd like 3?
I have 3
Wow.
primary love languages.
Well, I love you.
I love you. I'm going to touch you, and I'm going to spend time with you.
Guys, I feel like mine are acts of service and receiving.
That's really
I love
good.
that.
Does
Is
Stevie
it?
do that for you?
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
You
does he
lucked
do
out,
like
girl.
sweet little
Yeah.
gifts?
Yeah, but his are totally different than what mine are because he can care less about that stuff. His
What's
are like
his?
words of affirmation and quality time.
Did you?
Which makes me feel
Did you
very
figure that
selfish.
out while dating him?
No, I figured
Did
it
you
out
make him-
on JoJo's season of The Bachelor or on her season of The Bachelor because she kept talking about love languages. So then I did the quiz.
I've done that before.
And then I was doing it, and I was like, wow, like it gave me such insight onto my relationship.
Yeah, it tells you a lot about
Yeah.
yourself and your relationship with your partner. I think it's an awesome quiz.
It
we
could
have-
like make or break it.
When we have the
honestly.
guys in, we'll have to ask them what their love language is.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, next week they're going to Becca's hometown.
Not next week, 2 weeks from now.
Oh, 2
Next
weeks
week
from now. That's right.
is Men Tell All.
Oh, that's the best part of the whole season.
I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, at this point,
Okay.
who do you see winning, and who do you see being the next Bachelor?
I think we're unanimous in this one, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me hear.
Blake
Garrett
for Bachelor
and Blake.
Garrett.
You do,
Yeah.
Jeff. Who do you see winning and being the next Bachelor?
I agree. I mean, I would love to see Jason be
Same,
the Bachelor, but I
he
just think Blake is a little more producible and more dramatic and weepy.
What do
and-
you mean? Jason just came with a scrapbook from the PA.
That's true. I think like we're gonna get much more dramatic on the next Bachelors with a Blake than with a Jason.
So
yeah,
true.
yeah. I could see Garrett winning, but for me, it's really a toss-up because I think Jason got a great Bachelor edit tonight, and I think it just depends on what happens in the finale. If Blake doesn't win, I could see him being so devastated, too crushed, like to be the next Bachelor. And it starts, it starts in January. It starts pretty much right away, right?
No, it's just in
They
the fall,
start
right?
filming at the end of September.
At the end of September. So they have like 2 months.
They might not even tell us remember when they did that
Yeah.
one time with Nick's season before, when they just took forever to announce it, and we're like,
They might have to wait to tell us because for a while they wouldn't choose the runner-up as the next lead because the whole thing was that they were too
predictable.
invested in the relationship and they were too heartbroken.
meanwhile, they pick
I think
Becca for
JoJo was
Bachelorette.
like one of the first ones that they chose.
I think they're gonna wait to see how Paradise plays out,
think
to be
so, too.
honest, because I could also see Jason going to Paradise and having a good time.
True.
I could see him going there. I don't know about Blake going there, but I could definitely see Jason. And then also Colton is in Paradise. And we don't know how that's gonna play out with Tia. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I think
there's
it's
so
true.
many players still at play with Paradise to make that decision now.
Do you know who I think Colton's going to end up being? What's his name from Rachel's season? The one who dated 2 girls and he like turned out to be a jerk on Paradise.
Dean?
What is Dean? I think Colton's going to be a
what?
Dean. Colton is going to be a Dean in Paradise. Mark my words. He comes in sweet and then he's going to keep being like, I don't know what I want. And then
So who do you think is gonna be the other girl?
the other girl?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a good
Crystal.
question.
Because it
No
was
way.
Danielle, it was
Could you
Danielle and
imagine?
Kristina. So it could be between Tia and maybe Kendall if the Joe the Grocer doesn't, get under
I feel
her.
like Kendall
I would-
wouldn't let a guy get in the way of her friendships.
She wouldn't, but like Danielle wasn't trying to
That's
either.
true. That's
Dean
a
was
very
just
good
coming
point.
after
Very
her.
true. I really want Joe the grocery store owner to be Bachelor. I would die. Could you imagine if his edit is so good on Paradise that he ends up being Bachelor and he's the first ever Bachelor who was sent home on the first night? I'd be done.
I just want to see the promos of him like popping out of random spots in his grocery store, roses going over the apples, and they're all red.
It's so funny.
He's shopping for love.
Shopping for love.
Well, I guess guys will have to wait and see. By the way, people
Joe wants to check
chat
you
roll.
out.
Oh,
Oh
no
my gosh, that's a
coupons
good
here.
one. Oh my gosh, you guys are too much.
No discounts on love.
You guys, in your
We
comments
sell it. We
for
could
this
sell
video,
this.
in your comments, leave us who you think at this point will be the next Bachelor, and
yeah.
who you think will win this episode, this season. Okay.
Cool.
And then we'll be back next week for hometown dates, and then. No, next
Mental
week,
Hall.
Mental Hall, then Becca's hometown dates, and then it's the finale. I can't believe it, you guys.
It's crazy.
Thank you guys so much for following along, tuning in, live chatting with us, continuing the conversation. You can follow us all. My name is Kristina. Follow me at Miss Zias. Christine, where can they find you?
And you guys can find me all over social media at Christine Bean.
You guys can follow me at Renee Ariel on Instagram and check out my blog, sextingandthecity.com.
And Jeff?
You guys can find me online at Jeffrey Seagram.
All right, guys. Can't wait to chat about The Bachelor all week long. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.